I never thought the girl who promised forever would be the one to end my world. It was an ordinary evening, the kind that starts with good intentions and ends with broken pieces. I still remember her last message. "We need to talk." The 4 words that sound harmless but always carry destruction. My heart didn't panic at first. I thought maybe she wanted space. Maybe she was upset. I didn't know that talk meant confession, a truth that would slice through everything I believed in. She sat across from me that night, eyes cold, phone screen lighting up with a name I had never seen before. She didn't even try to hide it anymore. "I didn't mean to fall for him," she said, as if betrayal was an accident, as if love was a slippery slope she stumbled down by mistake. My world slowed. My voice trembled. "So you're saying there's someone else?" She nodded, and that single motion burned itself into my soul. It's strange how pain doesn't always come in screams. Sometimes it's quiet, like a silence that drowns everything inside you. That night, I walked home under the same stars we once wished upon, and I swear they looked different, colder, distant, like even the sky didn't care. The next few weeks were a blur. I stopped eating properly. I couldn't sleep. Every song reminded me of her. Every corner of my city carried her shadow. My friends tried to pull me out, but I wasn't ready. How do you heal when you don't even know who you are without them? I scrolled through old pictures, messages, voice notes, each one cutting deeper. I started blaming myself. Maybe I wasn't enough. Maybe I didn't love her the right way. Maybe if I had done more, she wouldn't have looked for something else. But one night, as I stared at my reflection in the dark, swollen eyes and all, something shifted. I realized she hadn't just cheated on me, she had freed me from the illusion that I needed someone to complete me, freed me from chasing validation. I realized I had given her all my energy, all my dreams, all my strength, and now it was time to take it back. I made a promise to myself that night. I will never beg love to stay. I will build something so powerful they'll regret ever letting me go. I started small, woke up early, hit the gym, forced myself to eat right, started focusing on work again. The first few weeks were painful. Every time I lifted a weight or stared at a screen, my mind whispered her name. But I turned that whisper into fuel. I told myself, pain is energy, and I'll use every drop of it to rebuild myself. I unfollowed her on social media, not out of hate, but peace. I stopped checking her stories, stopped waiting for her last scene. It was like quitting an addiction, shaking through withdrawals of emotions I didn't know how to handle. But I pushed through. Days turned to weeks. My body started changing. My mind started focusing. My work started improving. I began learning new things: photography, fitness, marketing, anything that helped me grow. For the first time, I wasn't chasing her. I was chasing purpose. And then something unexpected happened. I started smiling again. Not the fake smile I forced when people asked, "You okay?" but a real one born from a quiet pride that I was surviving what was meant to break me. I realized revenge doesn't always mean hurting someone back. Sometimes it means becoming everything they'll never have again. One evening, months later, I walked past the cafe where we first met. The air smelled the same, but I didn't feel the same. I looked through the glass and saw another couple laughing, holding hands. For a second, it stung. But then I smiled because I wasn't jealous anymore. I was free. I had learned that healing isn't a moment, it's a process. It's messy, it's lonely, but it's powerful. I had started walking a road that didn't lead back to her. It led back to me. And somewhere deep down, I knew this was just the beginning of my revenge, not through anger, but through evolution.
It's strange how silence can become your greatest teacher. After she left, my world went quiet. No calls, no good mornings, no late night, "I miss you." At first, that silence felt unbearable, like walking through an empty house full of ghosts. But then I began to realize something. The silence wasn't empty anymore. It was space. Space to rebuild, space to grow, space to finally hear myself again. I started spending time alone, not because I wanted to, but because I needed to. I'd wake up early, watch the sunrise, and remind myself that every new morning was a chance to start again. My reflection in the mirror began to change, not just physically, but mentally. I was no longer the guy who waited for texts that never came. I was becoming the guy who no longer needed them. Every gym session became therapy. Every rep was a release, not of anger, but of memory. With every drop of sweat, I was washing away her name, her betrayal, her absence. My body started transforming, yes, but what truly changed was my energy. People started noticing. "Bro, you look different," they'd say. "You're glowing lately." And I'd smile, because if only they knew, that glow was built from pain, discipline, and quiet revenge. I started putting my energy into my career. Late nights turned into productive nights. I stopped scrolling through her life and started designing mine. I enrolled in courses, networked with people, pitched ideas that once I was too afraid to speak aloud. My work improved, my confidence returned, and the opportunities that once ignored me started knocking. Success has a strange way of finding those who stop chasing people and start chasing purpose. But I won't lie, some nights still hurt. Some memories still burned. They were moments when I'd see something, a perfume bottle, a love song, a restaurant, and it would take me back to her laughter. It's hard to erase someone who once felt like home, but instead of running from those memories, I started using them. Every heartbreak became motivation. Every regret became fuel. One day, months later, I was at a cafe working on my laptop when I saw her name flash on my phone. For a second, my chest tightened, old reflex, but then I breathed, calm and steady, and smiled. The message was simple. "Hey, just wanted to say I'm proud of you. You've changed so much." Changed? No, I had evolved. And that's the part she didn't understand. When she broke me, she didn't destroy me. She planted me. I replied politely, short and cold, "Thanks. Hope you're doing well too." No emotion, no punctuation of pain, just closure. Because I realized sometimes silence is louder than revenge. Days went by, and I kept growing. I started helping people who felt broken like I once was. I began posting small reflections online about healing, strength, and self-worth. It started with a few likes, then people began to connect. Strangers messaged me, saying my words gave them hope. That's when I knew I wasn't just healing for me anymore. I was healing for every person who'd ever felt abandoned and unworthy. And then the real turning point came. I got invited to speak at a small event, to share my story about transformation and resilience. Standing on that stage, with lights shining on me, I remembered the night I cried alone on my bedroom floor, thinking my life was over. I remembered the broken version of me that couldn't imagine surviving without her. And now here I was, not surviving, but thriving. When the event ended, people came up to me to thank me, to hug me, to tell me I inspired them. That night, when I walked out under the city lights, I felt the peace I hadn't felt in years. I didn't need revenge anymore. I didn't need her to see what she lost. Because the truth is, I found what I was missing all along, myself. But destiny is strange. The more you grow, the more the past tries to find its way back. Weeks later, I saw her again. At a party, unplanned, unexpected. She looked the same, but her eyes didn't. There was something behind them. Regret. She smiled and said, "You look happy." And for the first time, I didn't have to fake it. I smiled back and said, "I am." That one sentence, simple, effortless, carried all my revenge, all my victory, all my peace. Because real revenge isn't about showing them your anger. It's about showing them your absence and your evolution. That night, as I left, I looked up at the sky, the same one that felt cold months ago, and whispered, "Thank you for breaking me, because you also rebuilt me." The man I was died when she left, but the man I became, he was born from that fire.
There comes a point in every person's life where pain no longer controls you, it refines you. For me, that moment came quietly. No applause, no sudden miracle, just a morning when I woke up, looked in the mirror, and realized I didn't feel broken anymore. The heaviness in my chest was gone. The eyes staring back at me weren't sad, they were focused, confident, alive. I had become someone I never thought I could be, grounded, sharp, and calm. I stopped needing validation from anyone. My goals became my peace. My work became my therapy. Every achievement, every small victory felt like one more step away from the man I used to be, the one who begged for love, waited for texts, accepted half-efforts, and called it devotion. My career was starting to bloom. The small project I started during my heartbreak, something I once thought was just a distraction, began to grow into something real. Clients started coming in, money started flowing, and I began building a name for myself. I was no longer the guy who got cheated on. I was the guy who made something of himself. But the universe has a strange sense of timing. The very moment you move on, the past always finds a way to test you. It started subtly, her likes on my posts, a comment here and there, "Proud of you. You'd changed so much." At first I ignored it, but she didn't stop. Then came the messages. "I saw your video. You've become someone amazing. You're really glowing these days. Remember when we talked about your dreams? You're actually living them." I stared at the screen, my heart steady this time. There was no more trembling, no more confusion, just understanding. She was seeing now what she couldn't value before. But I wasn't angry anymore. In fact, I almost felt sorry. Not because she lost me, but because she never truly saw me when she was hers. I learned that love given to the wrong person becomes a lesson, not a loss. And the sweetest part of revenge is not proving them wrong, it's proving yourself right. Months passed, and my name started floating in places I'd only dreamed of before. I got featured in an online article about young entrepreneurs making an impact. My story, once filled with heartbreak, had become one of transformation. Messages started pouring in. People wanted to know how I did it. Some even said I gave them hope to start over. One day, I received an invitation to a podcast, a big one. I was nervous, but excited. During the interview, the host asked me, "What was the turning point of your life?" I paused, smiled, and said, "When someone broke me so badly that I had no choice but to rebuild myself stronger." The studio went quiet. And in that silence, I knew the message hit home, not just for the audience, but for me too. Later that evening, she texted again. This time it wasn't casual, it was long. "I made a mistake. I didn't realize what I had when I had you. I thought I needed excitement, but I lost my peace. I see what you've become, and I can't stop thinking about how proud I used to be to call you mine." My chest tightened, not out of love, but out of closure. I read it twice, calmly, not with bitterness, but with clarity. I typed slowly, "You didn't lose me when you cheated. You lost me when you stopped appreciating my heart. And now I've learned to give that heart only to someone who deserves it. No anger, no cruelty, just truth." I hit send and felt something shift. Final freedom. The next few days felt different, lighter. I realized she had been my biggest pain and my biggest push. Her betrayal was the storm that forced me to build shelter, and that shelter became my empire. Every time I walked into meetings, every time someone said, "We're impressed by your vision," I smiled quietly, remembering the night I cried thinking my life was over. Life doesn't end when someone leaves you. It restarts. You just have to stop waiting for them to come back.
and start walking forward. And I did, far forward. She kept watching from afar, liking, viewing, maybe even wishing things had gone differently. But that was her story to live with now, not mine. My story had changed chapters, from heartbreak to healing, from loss to legacy. One night, while walking home through the city lights, I passed a billboard advertising something I had worked on. My logo, my name, my creation. And I laughed, not in pride, but in disbelief at how far I had come. That's when it hit me. My revenge wasn't about her anymore. It was about me finally becoming the man I was meant to be.
Time has a strange way of healing what you thought would never stop hurting. Months turned into a year, and that year turned into a version of me I barely recognized. Stronger, wiser, calmer. The kind of calm that doesn't come from peace, but from surviving storms that were meant to destroy you. By now, my life had found rhythm again. My work was thriving, my mind was clear, and my heart, it was finally at rest. I had built a foundation from the ruins she left behind. Every morning I woke up grateful, not for what I lost, but for what I gained through the loss. One evening, I received a message that would test that peace. It was her, again. But this time, it wasn't a casual hey or a compliment. It was raw, honest, heavy. I don't know if you'll even read this, but I need to say it. I messed up. I thought I wanted something new, but it was never real. You were the only one who actually saw me, who believed in me. I see you now, the way you've grown, and I can't stop thinking about what we had. I miss you. For a moment, my hands froze above the screen. Old memories tried to resurface, her laughter, her voice, the way she used to say my name. But it was like remembering a dream that no longer made sense in daylight. She wanted to come back, but the truth was, there was no back to go to. The man she left no longer existed. I didn't reply right away. I sat there thinking about everything, the sleepless nights, the self-doubt, the fire it took to rebuild myself. And for the first time, I wasn't angry at her anymore. I wasn't hurt either. I was simply done. 2 days later, fate did what it always does. It brought the past face to face with the present. I was at a business event, dressed in a crisp black suit, speaking to a few people when I heard a familiar voice behind me. I turned, and there she was. The same eyes, same smile, but somehow smaller, like life had taken its toll. "Hey," she said softly, almost hesitant. "Hey," I replied, calm, polite. She looked over me, eyes glancing at the watch on my wrist, the confidence in my stance. "You've changed." "I had to," I smiled. Change was the only way to survive. There was a silence between us, not awkward, but heavy with everything unspoken. Then she said it. "I wish I could start over. I wish I hadn't let you go." For a second, I saw the girl I used to love standing in front of me, the same one who broke me, without realizing what she was destroying. But this time, I wasn't that broken boy anymore. I looked at her with kindness, not pity, just understanding. "You know, you didn't just let me go. You let go of the man who would have done anything for you, the man who believed love was enough. But that man had to die for this one to be born." Her eyes filled with tears. She reached out slightly as if to touch my hand, but stopped halfway. "So, that's it?" she whispered. I smiled softly. "No, that's peace." I turned to leave, and as I walked away, the world felt lighter. Not because I'd won something, but because I'd finally closed the chapter with gratitude instead of bitterness. That was my real revenge, peace. The kind that no apology can buy, no memory can break.
Outside, the city lights shimmered like gold, and a soft wind brushed against my face. I took a deep breath. The air tasted new. My phone buzzed. A message from someone I'd recently met. Someone gentle, kind, genuine. I smiled. Life had a way of giving back when you finally stopped chasing what wasn't meant for you. I looked up at the night sky and whispered, "Thank you for leaving. You were my ending, but also my beginning." And with that, I walked forward, not as the man who was cheated on, but as the man who turned pain into power, heartbreak into healing, and revenge into rebirth. Because sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't showing them what they lost. It's showing the world who you became without them.